It's been called the downfall of Diddy, but are we also witnessing a further downfall of Kanye West? The Grammy-winning artist that some believe is a musical genius recently went on a crazed social media rant that included, among other things, a call to free Puff.
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to unpack how this story first cracked open. What begins as Diddy's legal collapse quietly pulls Kanye West into the frame, almost against his will. At first, it feels distant, indirect, easy to dismiss. But public defenses, reckless posts, and symbolic gestures erase that distance fast. This isn't gossip or coincidence. It's the collision of two massive legacies built on influence. The industry thrives on silence, but silence starts breaking here. Loyalty turns risky. Associations become liabilities. Once names surface, there's no undoing the damage. What once looked controlled now feels exposed, unstable, and irreversible.
Around the world for months, and as you know, not for great reasons. But over the last couple of weeks, another embattled rapper has been in the spotlight, Kanye West. And their two worlds have now collided once again, thanks to one of West's apparent tirades on X, formerly known as Twitter, which we'll get into, and it is something to say the least. But look, Combs is, of course, locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center right now out in New York on federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He's set to go to trial in May. Prosecutors say he forced people to have sex with him and each other, often allegedly having his staff hire commercial sex workers to participate. He's entered a not guilty plea. He has maintained his innocence ever since his arrest last September. And I should also add that it seems like almost every day, maybe every week, maybe every other week, he is hit with another sexual assault lawsuit. We actually have a sidebar coming out about a man who claims that he was drugged at a New York City nightclub back in 2012 and raped by Combs when he was 17 years old. We did another episode last week about an adult male entertainer, a dancer, who claims that Combs drugged him and forced him into various sex acts, literally physically forcing him to do it. And he claims he was a victim of sex trafficking, that this alleged abuse went on for 5 years. And we have claims that Combs allegedly assaulted men, women, and even children. And how can we forget that Combs is also facing a lawsuit from a woman who claims that she was assaulted by him, and talking another rapper, Jay-Z, back in 2000 when she was just 13 years old. Bottom line, Sean Combs is fighting a lot of different legal battles right now, and coming to his defense, coming to his side from a PR point of view, not great. A lot of people who've known Sean Combs haven't spoken out about him, and I understand why. Now, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. He has not been found liable in any of these sexual assault cases, but brings us to Kanye West. Because let's talk about Kanye West, who's no stranger to controversy. West, for his part right now, he has been traveling a lot internationally. Vibe reported that he's been to Paris, Tuscany, Russia, Japan, appearing alongside his wife Bianca Censori, who is often scantily clad. West caused quite a scandal in Venice, by the way, when he was seen allegedly without any pants on, exposing himself on a water taxi in Venice. And of course, there was some of that happening here at home too. At the Grammys a couple weeks ago, West and Censori were being photographed on the red carpet when Censori suddenly dropped her coat, revealing her basically nude body. They posed for more photographs before eventually leaving. The rumor was that West and Censori were kicked out of the Time Achievement Award, called him his idol, called him his favorite artist. West said he still went to Combs for advice, and that Combs inspired many of his life choices, even his wife choices, perhaps in apparent reference to his then-wife, Kim Kardashian. But according to the Mirror, Combs has said that West inspired him as well. In 2009, Combs reportedly said that the other night I go to the Kanye West concert and I'm going there to see Kanye do his thing. I don't have anything but high expectations. The concert changed my life. I won't lie. I was so impressed and inspired. It was beautiful. And I fell in love with hip hop again. And I want to say thank you, Kanye, for giving me that. However, just a few months after West presented Combs with the Lifetime Achievement Award, the relationship seemed to sour between the two of them when Combs took issue with West's t-shirts that said, "White Lives Matter." Now, he said during an appearance on The Breakfast Club that he thought the shirts were tone deaf. He would go on to reportedly say, including on an Instagram post,
"All right, guys, This is where the parallels become impossible to ignore. Diddy faces federal charges while Kanye unravels publicly across continents, headlines following him everywhere. From a third-party perspective, the timing feels deliberate, not random. Two icons, two downward arcs, both shaped by the same industry pressures. One confined by prison walls, the other trapped in his own unchecked chaos. Their past influence magnifies every move they make now. Every appearance becomes symbolic. Every word becomes evidence. The public watches closely as credibility erodes in real time. This part shows how quickly power fades once scrutiny replaces admiration.
Oh, gotta talk about it, man. Kanye, I heard he was up there.
Well, you know, it was shocking to everybody, but you know, Kanye's name was mentioned the day before that when the witness Jane was telling a story in which Puff had, I think he had attacked her at one time. He got mad and got upset with her. I think he may have put her in a chokehold or something when he found out that she went to one of the freak-offs, but they said that it wasn't, it was a rapper who was married, and everybody, all the information that came out, it was pointing to Kanye West. And then it so happened the next day he comes up there. This is the same guy that got on, and I don't want to blow nobody else's platforms up, got on Drink Champs about a year or so ago before Diddy was arrested, talking about Diddy was a fed, you understand? F Diddy and all this other stuff like that. And then he talked all kind of crazy shit about Diddy. And that's how these dudes in this industry do, man. They ain't got no loyalty to themselves, bro. So by him going on that, and now they say him and Diddy made amends and stuff like that. Remember I think he did a t-shirt, a shirt or something to say free Puff and all this other stuff. So Kanye is on he's looking for the attention. And for him to be mentioned in the trial, and they didn't let it go through because the reason they didn't let it go through is because they said it wasn't pertinent to the charges that Puff was facing. So what happened, Jane went to Vegas and she was invited by allegedly Kanye West and his wife and them and everything like that. And they went to plays, they went to show, they went out to eat and everything. And then later on that night, they went to a hotel room. Whereas there was some other couples in there too and some other people. And there wasn't a freak off, but it was one of the guys who does the freak off with her there. And they were all sitting around watching and drinking while this guy was having sex with another sex worker or whatever like that. And while all them just watching him have sex and stuff. I guess it's some rich people industry that they do. But they were just sitting around watching this dude have a live porn section right there in front of them. You know what I'm saying? So she started talking about that incident in court. And that's how Kanye West's name came up, and which they didn't say his name, but they said his name because it was an objection done. You know how they do, objection, overrule, all this other stuff like that. So they said it was a rapper who's married. They gave a description of it, and it pointed straight to Kanye. And then it so happened the next day he goes up in the courtroom with Diddy and them son. That's just crazy, bro. It seemed like that to me.
All right, guys, this is where the narrative turns deeply unsettling. Courtroom testimony hints at unnamed figures, and suddenly Kanye's shadow looms over the proceedings. There are no direct accusations, no charges, yet the implications refuse to disappear. Objections block details, but suspicion survives every interruption. From the outside, it feels like strategic containment rather than clarity. Kanye's sudden courthouse appearance only sharpens the questions. Why show up now? Why for minutes, not hours? The silence inside the courtroom speaks louder than testimony. This moment transforms rumor into something heavier, darker, and far harder to ignore.
While this is happening, like
Yeah.
they're huddling. Okay.
And the press pews are just trying to figure out. And I don't even know how this rumor started. I don't know who started it. I don't know if it was valid, if it's not valid. I imagine, again, if this were true, we would have heard about it by now because that would be a very big deal. But it's just like, we don't know. We don't know. That's what they said. And then they're like, I don't know. That's what she said. That's what he said. And then it's like, okay, the rumor kind of dies down because we're like, what are the odds of that? And then another rumor comes through. Okay, so we heard that Kanye West is trying to get in. And we're like, wait, what? What do you mean he's trying to get in? But that doesn't make sense because if he's trying to get in, why would Diddy be so upset about it? Like, why would it cause an hour in the robing room? And then why would it cause him to be so passionately angry? And then also, there's so many other questions. Like, why the hell is Kanye here? Because sure, we can simply say that Kanye is trying to get into the courthouse to support Diddy, a friend, been guilty. And in the most recent years, as some of you may know, Kanye has become incredibly anti-Semitic, which is never okay. He has made so many public tirades involving anti-Semitism and hate speech. He genuinely has said things that are unfathomable to like come out of somebody's mind, let alone someone with that massive of a platform. I mean, Kanye's lore is almost as deep as Sean Combs's lore, and we would need 10 hours, a 4-part series to even truly cover and report on it all. So for the purpose of this episode, we are specifically focusing on Kanye's actions, a few good, mostly bad, that relate to Kanye's involvement in Diddy's trial. So I want to be super clear that we are not intentionally ignoring these moments, nor are we trying to somehow minimize them by not including them. It's just, it would take so long to go through every hateful thing that he's ever said about any group of people. So with that being said, let's get started. 2024 is a very, very bad year with Sean Combs. I mean, that much is clear. He's not having a good time last year, but it's also a very, very bad year for somebody else in the music industry, Kanye West. And interestingly enough, a lot of people think it's not a coincidence that Sean Combs is having a bad 2024 and Kanye West is having a bad 2024. It's all connected. And maybe Sean Combs is living on a faster timeline. That's what people are speculating, that maybe Kanye West, his trajectory is going to look oddly similar. So we're going to skip January of 2024, but keep this in mind because something big happens in January of 2024 that involves both of the rappers, but skipping January for right now and going straight into February of 2024. Kanye drops a new song. So at this point, February, Cassie has dropped her lawsuit 4 months ago, November of 2023. There has been no raids on Diddy's house. He hasn't been arrested. He's a free man. There's just been a lot of media controversy over Cassie's lawsuit. All we know is that she's settled, and that's about it. Everyone's wondering what's going to happen next. Is he just going to like wait for a comeback? We don't know. February of 2024, Kanye drops a new.
Buckle up, guys, because this section forces a reevaluation of Kanye's past behavior. His rants, once dismissed as instability or attention-seeking, now echo alongside emerging allegations. From a distance, patterns begin to form. Warnings disguised as chaos. Truth buried under controversy. The industry's reflex to discredit uncomfortable voices comes into focus. Whether fear, manipulation, or complicity shaped his silence remains unanswered. What's undeniable is how perspective changes once context catches up. Statements once mocked now feel ominous. This part challenges what audiences laughed off, ignored, or chose not to confront when it mattered most.
Harvey, and you know the Beatles song, I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends?
I do. I know it well.
Diddy sort of maybe getting by with a little help from his friends.
Maybe. One of his friends tried. His knight in denim armor, as it were. Kanye West showing up out at the federal courthouse in New York City. The first time we've seen any of Diddy's celebrity friends in court supporting him. It did not go exactly as Kanye planned, but here was his big entrance.
The box sit right here in the middle. Kanye West. No, Kanye. Happy to see you. Yeah. You the last.
Still people celebrating him, which we always talk about as being kind of weird with the things he has espoused. But there he is walking in all in white. strolling into the courthouse. Bianca not with him. Interesting, because we do know she is in New York with him, but she did not go to the courthouse. And there you see King Combs greeting him outside to go into the courtroom. Now, his plan clearly is to go in and support Diddy. And we know that they're close. Just a few months ago, remember, Kanye dropped a song that featured clips of a prison conversation he'd had with Diddy.
And the idea being essentially that the jury would see him there in support.
And that somehow that would help, although we'll get into whether or not it helps or hurts. We saw the chaos outside of court as he went in, but what happened inside? Our producer, Jacob Wasserman, is actually in court. He's been in the overflow room. What did you see, Jacob? Was there any commotion inside the court? Were people aware that Kanye was coming?
The best way I can compare it is like a big game of hide and go seek. So I was outside when Kanye first came in, and he goes in, and it sounds like he came in with Christian Combs and Donaldson, one of Diddy's attorneys. I guess we caught that on video. I went inside shortly afterwards. Of course, I go up to the courtroom because I think that's where Kanye is going. I go up, everyone's, oh my gosh, where's Kanye? Where's Kanye? Apparently, he never even made it inside. He didn't reach the 26th floor. One of my colleagues who's inside said that basically they were siloed off this entire time, and Kanye wasn't much of a topic inside the courtroom. I usually go to the two floors below, which is the overflow room, which is essentially like watching the court case happen on a big TV screen, and everyone thought he was going to come in there. So we go down, and it's like bedlam. Everyone is coming in and out every 5 seconds. They're upping security. At one point, they cleared off a bench in the back and had security standing in front of it. And it sounded like that he was going to come in and sit on that bench and watch it with the rest of us. But one of our PAs, who's also inside the courtroom, went on with a bunch of other journalists to kind of see where is Kanye, because that's what everyone was thinking. Is he in the cafeteria? Is he coming up here? Did he already leave? And what we learned based off talking with several people is it sounds like he was given his own private room, basically his own overflow room, which he was in for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then I assume was like, hey, I didn't come here to be in this private room by myself. I wanted to show face for Diddy and, to the public. And then eventually he left right after. So it was only there for a short period of time. And I'm not sure if other people got access to the overflow room that he was in, but if they did, it wasn't many.
Right. So the jurors never saw him, and Diddy never saw him.
Right. So
no,
you would know.
No, yeah. So the jurors never saw him. The one thing I want to mention is, as I was saying, how I was in the overflow room and everyone's coming in and out, and it's this whole commotion.
All right, guys, this is where symbolism overtakes substance completely. Kanye arrives at the courthouse, cameras flashing, confusion spreading instantly. He never reaches the jury. He never faces Diddy. From an observer's lens, it feels performative, calculated, and unfinished. Presence without impact. Support without consequence. The spectacle once again overshadows the substance. Security movements and whispered confusion dominate the narrative. This moment feels less like loyalty and more like image management. Whether intentional or impulsive, the result is the same. Attention shifts, questions multiply, and clarity drifts further away.
Diddy hasn't gotten a lot of that, so he responded to it.
Yeah, on his Instagram account. I'm not sure exactly how.
I was wondering that myself.
He has access.
I was wondering that myself.
Maybe he told someone to do it. But anyway, so thank you to my brother Ye, Yeezy.com. So yeah, celebrating it.
So
to be fair to Diddy, I know is something you don't hear a lot these days.
Diddy didn't know what was coming.
He did not know the firestorm that was about to come because Ye was just getting warmed up. And this is where it gets really just insane. This is what he started to say about, this has always been, he's always framed this as he doesn't like the business deals that he's made with Jewish people.
This is a trope, by the way.
Yes. Ain't nobody ramped up either. I'm calm as ice. This is how I really feel.
So can I stop you for a second? He is now telling everybody, you may not have believed me before, you gotta believe me now.
And by the way, the reason he's saying ain't nobody ramped up is because this is after several hours of tweeting, right? So he says, ain't nobody ramped up either. I'm calm as ice. This is how I really feel, how I really felt, and how I will always feel. Blank all your blank blank unfair business deals. Any Jewish person that does business with me needs to know I don't like or trust any Jewish person, and this is completely sober with no Henny. I'm a Nazi.
Oh, there's more.
And one more. Hitler was so fresh.
So, look, I'm not going to get upset.
It's not even.
I'm Jewish. I'm not going to get upset with this because I think that's what he wants. I think what you got to do at this point, whether it's performative, and it could be, or whether it's real, and I think it is,
illness.
or it's mental illness, or it's a combination of all of those things, and it probably is. He's an anti-Semite.
But I hear what you're saying, that you don't want to express too much outrage because one, you may be just used to it. Two, you don't want to give him what he probably wants.
Right.
But there is a part of this that is still dangerous, and I understand you're saying you don't want to, have all this outrage. But there are people out there who are going to listen to it, and their reaction to it is going to be, yeah, the hell with Jewish people.
Oh, I think you're right.
I actually think it's pretty helpful because the rant that went on in 2022 was several years ago. And frankly, time heals all wounds. People forget, they soften it. The passage of time sort of makes
we
him
all
a
laugh
different
about
figure.
his antics going out with his wife, and she's naked at the Grammys, and people can have lighthearted feelings toward him about that stuff, right?
That's right, and this is a good reminder of this is who he is. This is his sort of thesis statement and his true feelings. He says he's not inebriated in any way. This is how he feels. He doesn't trust Jewish people. Doesn't like them.
While he's not inebriated, he still has mental illness.
Look,
we know that.
like I think you're right. It's all three of them. It's mental illness, performative, and real.
Yeah.
But here's the difference, Derek, between 2 years ago or 3 years ago and today. We're in a different world today. And the hatred you express can be a plus for you in certain corners of this country. And I feel like this kind of hatred, in some ways, has been normalized. So I'm not sure if I would be shocked 3 years ago had he said this. Weird thing is, I'm not at all shocked. And I'm not.
Buckle up, guys, because this is where Kanye inflicts the most damage on himself. His anti-Semitic tirades resurface, removing any remaining sympathy from the conversation. Mental illness, provocation, and belief blur into something dangerous. From the outside, intent matters less than impact. Words alienate allies and embolden critics simultaneously. This isn't rebellion or truth-telling, it's recklessness. The industry responds swiftly, creating distance where support once existed. Platforms shrink. Credibility collapses. This section shows how self-destruction accelerates downfall faster than any external enemy ever could.
With his children and said, I wish I had the relationship with my dad that Puff has with his kids. And West also tweeted over the weekend.
Just for clarity, they trying to make an example out of Puff. Me and my brother had our issues, but these white people trying to use Puff to scare N-words. I'm neither scared nor brave, this just me.
And by the way, Sean Combs' Instagram account shared the post about the collaboration, writing, thank you to my brother Ye. Back to the shirt. The blue shirt with the Sean John logo that was apparently put up, it really wasn't up there for long because it was reportedly eventually replaced by something else. Do you know what that was? A single white t-shirt with a black swastika on it, selling for $20. Yeah. At the time of this recording, that website now appears to be offline. Kind of give you an idea of what's going on here. And from there, West's posts, they just devolved into what many people view as purely anti-Semitic, homophobic, and racist comments that we won't even dignify with airtime, okay? Now, West, unsurprisingly, has faced serious backlash in the past for his use of slurs, as well as what appears to be blatant anti-Semitism online and in his interviews. Some of those consequences have included loss of collaborations and sponsorships, as well as West's products being removed from shelves at stores like TJ Maxx and Foot Locker. He also underwent bans, some temporary, some not, several on his social media accounts. Although Elon Musk did restore his access to his X page in 2023, West did eventually post a message in Hebrew on his Instagram page in 2023 apologizing for his past remarks, but soon, he was back to sharing apparent anti-Semitic rhetoric, so I don't know how much good that did. But Things didn't really improve for West when a former employee sued him for allegedly sexually assaulting her and then firing her later on. And by the way, this connects back to Combs because Lauren Peixoto, who filed this amended complaint in October, claimed that before she had worked as West's assistant, he had co-hosted a party with Sean Combs in Santa Monica, California. And she says at the time she was working with a different musician client who wasn't identified in the complaint, but who'd been invited to the studio party. And she claims that West told everyone that they had to drink or leave the party, but after drinking a few sips of her drink, Peixoto claims she, quote, suddenly started to feel disoriented and began to slip into an altered and highly impaired state. And Peixoto says that she doesn't remember anything else, woke up the next day feeling traumatized and disturbed. But here's the thing. The amended complaint says that Peixoto initially was just mostly worried that maybe she made a fool of herself, that she was embarrassed in front of her then client or maybe even Kanye West herself by getting, tipsy. But Peixoto reportedly believed that someone who had helped prepare the drinks was responsible for drugging her. But here's the thing. Years down the line, he allegedly confessed to Peixoto that the two had, quote, hooked up at that party after she was allegedly drugged. According to Peixoto, West was having an argument with his then wife, Kim Kardashian, who was accusing him of cheating on her with Peixoto. And Peixoto wanted to clear things up and suggested that she reach out to Kim to assure her that nothing had ever happened. But she claims West stopped her from sending the message saying, we did kind of hook up a little one time. And she says he started to reminisce about that party years before. And when Peixoto said she didn't remember any of that, he reportedly laughed and said, women love to say they don't remember. Now, that lawsuit between Peixoto and West is still making its way through the Los Angeles civil court system, but it is another connection between Combs and West. But we have another connection between Kanye West and Sean Combs we want to talk about. So as West's rampage on X continued over the weekend, he shares a screenshot of the infamous hotel video of Combs and his now ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, who filed that initial lawsuit against him back in 2023. And in that surveillance footage that was released by CNN last year, Combs can be seen chasing Ventura down the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. He appears to hit and kick her repeatedly. Combs even eventually...
All right, guys, this part finally connects dots people avoided for years. Lawsuits and allegations bridge Kanye and Diddy through shared environments, shared power, and shared silence. Claims of drugging and coercion paint a grim, consistent picture. From a third-party view, this looks less like isolated incidents and more like an ecosystem. Power normalized excess. Silence protected reputations. Accountability was postponed, not absent. Once enough voices speak, patterns emerge clearly. This is where coincidence stops being believable. The narrative shifts from shock to recognition, forcing a reckoning long overdue. Buckle up, guys, because this is the reckoning. Diddy's empire collapses under legal weight while Kanye's image fractures under the consequences of his own actions. From the outside, the lesson is brutal but unmistakable. Fame delays consequences, it never erases them. This story isn't just about two men falling from power. It's about an industry built on secrecy finally cracking under pressure. The fallout won't stop here. More names, more stories, more accountability may follow. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.